So I didn't put on our meetup tonight what we were going to talk about, but I've already heard manifestation and shadow work from a couple of people. And I'll tell you what, I just started training for Reiki, and I've decided that I want to become a Reiki healer. I have the mark on my hand. And I guess I've always known it, but I was never confident enough with myself to go forward and think that I could help other people. I was like, no, I'm too damaged. I can't help others. My mom just whispered, what mark? Okay. If anybody wants to see if you have a healer's mark on your palm, if you look underneath of your pinky, there'll be lines that just come down from it. I'll try to come closer. So there'll be lines that just kind of come down from underneath your pinky. They can be.
I have that. I have that. Don't I? Right? Like,
yes, you have that. You have that.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
So
I didn't know that.
It's, it doesn't mean that you can't be a healer without that by any means, but it's that you're drawn to things that do help people. So people who are natural healers often find themselves trying to fix everybody else, fix other people's problems, be the ear that they always talk to, you know, that's the
every boyfriend I ever had.
that's the healer.
You guys are great.
Do you need
Congratulations on getting started on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm initiated Reiki master, so I highly encourage it. I think that's awesome.
We just took the first, we're now certified like the first
level one.
Yeah. So we just did that a week and a half ago.
2 weeks.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just did it. So we're on our journey for that, and it's exciting, but it's because Reiki it's not a denomination of anything, and it's practiced in lots of different ways, sometimes by different names, but most commonly now as Reiki, but it's your chakras, so your energy centers. And I always try to mesh witchcraft, because I am a witch. I do practice with spells and manifestation. When your energy centers aren't aligned, it can really screw with things, or you don't get a strong effect with your spell work. So the more that you can manipulate and heal your own energy, like sending that out into the world, your spells, your meditations, everything can become so much stronger. And this includes the shadow work. So the way that these two practices really mesh together is, as you heal your energy centers, your shadow work at the same time as you're reflecting through the stuff that has caused you pain, that you don't want to deal with, the lies that we tell ourselves. That's all because of the energy blocks that we have. And so Reiki heals that, and then you can go forward and deal with your stuff on paper with journaling and doing your shadow work. So I feel like they're the same, but most people wouldn't think that Reiki and witches necessarily go together. But to me, they do. And people's energy, because I sense it so much, I think being able to heal and balance yourself and then others is like the greatest gift that we can really come here and help people with, that don't know, that don't understand why they're sad, why they don't feel like they have a whole, heart, like their sadness that's stuck in there. So things of that nature. So I love that we have a Reiki master on board tonight. Perfect, universe. Thank you so much, because you didn't know that was going to be the topic tonight. And for the group, I did post pictures from the Reiki book that we got for the level 1. Probably the most useful thing that we found out of it, that's just very practical knowledge. Of course, there's a lot of usefulness in there, but the practical stuff that can get you thinking about the energy centers that you might want to heal or need to heal. And sometimes you kind of got to be slapped in the face with that. Like, hey, you've always had a knee problem. Well, that means that you're not flexible and you like to be in control. And so you can sort of self-diagnose yourself if you see those reflections. So please, on the whenever you get time, or while we're doing this, because I don't want to have to read all of it to you and bore you to death. But I put the pictures on the meetup for tonight's meetup, and it's like 9 pictures. 7 of them are the pages from the book that are just references that can help guide you in a direction for energy centers you might want to work on, or even going to get a Reiki healing balance. What's the proper way to say that? I called it a Reiki healing.
I think it was healing.
A Reiki healing, I believe.
Is that right?
Reiki, not Reiki.
Sorry, I forgot.
Rebecca, thank you.
Yeah.
She's saying yes. So getting one, I had my very first one last week, and I was just I had no expectations besides I meditate a lot. So I thought when I went in, I was going to get into this like meditative state. She's like, well, I don't want to offend you, but it's not necessarily about what you are going to get into, like where your head's going to be. It's what I'm like, where I have to put myself. And I'm like, oh, wait, I have to give up control to somebody else and just let them like do stuff. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I was like, all right, I'm going to lay here and sort of meditate. Anyways, I hope you don't mind. She's like, you do what you feel comfortable with. I'm like, okay. So it was a great session, and the whole family now, we've all introduced ourselves into this group, and my mom, my brother, his wife, and me all took the class together, and they're like, we have a family, becoming taking the Reiki classes together, which is fun. And I never knew that other people would do this with me. So it's awesome. Okay. So that is what the meeting's about tonight, but I want to touch really quickly for the energy that's happening in our environment right now, like this time of the year, because last week we celebrated Midsummer, the longest day of the year, which is all about the power of the sun and really using that outward expression, sort of the masculine energy to get active and move and create change in your life. Well, that day also marks the beginning of the dark half of the year. Did you have your hand up, Trent? I'm sorry.
No, my dog was jumping.
So we can just say this meeting, but really this part of the year, even though we're still in the summer period, this is a great time to think about how we balance our own energies in our lives, because we're moving towards the equinox, right? So I didn't even count the days, but in like 8 weeks or longer, 12 weeks, we'll be experiencing the equinox. So as we move from the longest outward active energy, we're moving towards equal day and night energy, and then into the nights are much longer than the days. Although it's hard to believe that here in Florida, because we have really long days close to the equator. So I had some things for you guys, reflection questions. If you want to ask yourself, journal them, think about them, and just see how it affects you as we transition from this summertime energy into our balancing and dark half of the year. And it's, in what ways do you restore your energy? So what is it that you do for yourself? And it should usually be something by yourself, that you restore your energy that you've expended once you've been super active or helping other people, because we're constantly pushing our energy out into things and giving it away. So what do you do to restore it? Yep. The next thing, because we're talking about the cycles of longest day, equal day, night, longest night, it's what cycles are you aware of in your life? Whether this is a daily routine thing that you have, where you give a lot and then you're drained, or it could be that in a week's time, like you're really good at setting a habit for a week, and then on day 8, you're like, I gave it my best shot, I'm done. Maybe I'll start again next month. Maybe I can go like 3 weeks, but then I'm like, all right, I'm done with that goal. I'm going to move on to something else. So it's the cycles that we're aware of as we start them, finish them, don't finish them, and how that energy is either we're drawn to finishing it or not finishing it at all. And these are just reflection questions for you to grow from as you go through your, what we would call shadow work on how do I get better? Who do I want to be? What self am I walking myself into? You are who you are today. And every day we wake up, we have the ability to change that and present something different in our environment. But it has to start with us realizing it and then making the changes. All right. So that was headed towards the equinox balancing point. So this is a time when the universe around you, the energy is all gearing itself towards that balancing tide in our lives. And that was really it. So this was the seasonal thing for me, because seeing it in nature really allows me to reflect on it in my own life. And for being a witch, that's what I think is the big difference between other practices, is we really look to nature to help guide us in what we should be thinking about or working on or doing for ourselves, to follow that cycle of the annual nature cycle. All right. So then it's right on over to the Reiki. And first and foremost, what is Reiki and what does it mean? Where did it come from? How old is it? We know some of those things, but the word Rei, which is the REI, means universal. And then the Ki, which Reiki, they also have it in there as Chi, like CHI. So I think of that as like when I do feng shui in my house, I'm always trying to tell people don't mess up the energy in the house by blocking stuff off. That's how the energy moves. So it's a energy transfer healing technique that's thousands of years old, even though there's a lot of opinions about when and where it started. Doesn't matter. The fact that we practice it is all as long as you know what you're trying to accomplish with it, it's a tool for us to grow. So it's universal life force, the movement of that energy. And what I was saying about getting my first one is it's not necessarily like if you become a practitioner, you're moving the energy, just like when we are doing spells and we're asking the universe and we're trying to manipulate that energy to get a desired outcome. That would be how we use the Reiki energy as well. It's you're a vessel that pushes. No, you don't push. You allow the energy to flow through you into where it needs to go. So if you had somebody in front of you that you were trying to heal, you don't really need them to do anything. The Reiki energy is coming through you into where it needs to go. And from the person who was teaching us, what I thought was really cool is even if you don't always know where the energy needs to go, it knows where it needs to go. And I was like, oh, see, I like that because it's like universal law of it happens where it needs to happen. You know, it's trusting the universe, which is something I say all the time. Okay, this goes back to more of the spell stuff. And even Joe Dispenza, of course, because thoughts are energy and we push them out into the world all the time. The thoughts that we think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves, what we think about other people, all of that radiates all around us. So if we all exist on this big energy grid and everything that we produce and other people produce is all mixing together and mingling, when you come across the negativity that like blocks your centers, your energy centers, that's when illnesses and I don't know, probably bad habits, but I think of like actual ailments that you get. A bad lower back, you know, bad knees, cravings for junk food, or, you know, so the stuff that really keeps you out of balance. And that's one of the reasons why is that your energy centers are blocked. Or I'm thinking that's the right way to say it. Rebecca, the right way to say it, energy centers are blocked, or there's like, maybe it's not a full block, but it's a partial block. Like a little beaver has built a dam next to one of them and you can't get all the way through, you know. Think of it, any visuals that you can think of for how something might be stopping your energy. It's like, what are the dams that have happened in your life that still exist there that don't let the energy flow freely through each center? Do we have any questions at this point? I've been talking for like 15 minutes. So I just want to open the floor up to anything. If you guys need me to relate it to something that you're doing right now or how it could be useful for you.
I have something to add, which I thought it was, you know, speaking about specific ailments. So
Yes.
in our class on Saturday, it talked about how, you know, different sides of the body are related to different things. So on your left side of the body, when you have ailments on the left side of your body, these are usually related to physical things that you're, you know, that you're not dealing with, like maybe if you have pain in your leg, on your left leg, it has to do with you're having problems changing, you know, like you don't want to change a job or you don't want to move or something like that. So it's physical, it's all physical,
External.
External. And then pains on your right side of the body or ailments on the right side of the body have to do with emotional and spiritual.
So
and while they can
internal.
still be like, you can still have like not willing to change, but it's more like moving out of bad relationships or a bad situation where you're just like emotionally stuck. So I thought it was really interesting, the left and the side. And I know when we were looking at this, I'm looking at physical manifestation. So I have a bad left knee, right? It's a bum knee. It's been messing with me for a long time. I probably need a knee replacement. They told me years ago. And I look at this and I read it. It's like physical issues with knees, ankles, legs, possible cause, being stubborn. Oh my God, that's like my middle name. Okay. I'm and inflexible. Sometimes I can be really inflexible.
No.
So yeah.
No.
So it was so funny. Well, and I'm going to tell on my daughter now since she's not offering up herself.
What?
So I have to tell you. So she has stomach, you know, problem like
Ulcers and
she's had a lot of problems with her just stomach issues that went undiagnosed, and that had to do with being like I didn't highlight it, but do you remember what it was?
No,
It was
not now that you put me on the
okay.
spot.
It was control. It was control issues and
It was a
perfectionist.
control-
I
Just
think
gonna make
so.
me look it
Yes.
up.
Just look it
Look
up.
it up.
I'm going to.
Oh my
So
gosh,
these,
it's the solar plexus.
it's the
That's
solar
I know where it originates from.
skin issues. So the solar plexus, which is
Third.
the third.
Yeah.
Okay, potential organs.
Yeah.
Issues of liver,
Oh.
spleen, small intestine, stomach. Okay, so unresolved guilt or anger, hate, and possible abuse of power by parents or teachers. Well, she did have a situation, not to tell your business, but
We're putting
when
me
she
all
was-
out there tonight.
when she was in the Navy,
It's
she
okay.
did have a situation of being in the military as a military person where there was this huge abuse of power that she
Yeah.
endured and was, it was just, and it really affected her to the point of her having PTSD.
Mm.
And so I don't know, did the stomach issues start after that, or do you remember? Did they
They
always
did.
exist?
No,
They
so
did start
I-
after that.
Out of nowhere, of course, I got out of the Navy in 2005. And then in 2009, I started having the most awful, like just can't move, 8 hours of stomach pains that it was like, from what? And, the doctor's was like, oh, you probably have a bad gallbladder. You have this, you have that. So I had like every test done, biopsies, everything. And they're like, yeah, we don't see anything wrong with you. I'm like, well, I feel it all the damn time. So there's something wrong. We need to find this because the pain couldn't be relieved from regular Advil or Tylenol or whatever. And I didn't want to do anything harder than that. But yes. And then, God, how many years later? 6 years later, I finally went into counseling because I started talking to other veteran friends and they're like, yeah, do you realize you have PTSD? I'm like, no, that's for people who get shot at, blown up. Like, no, mine was more power control and, things just were really shitty. So no, I'm officially diagnosed with PTSD now, which was really hard because it is considered a mental disability. That made me so angry. I think I had more feelings about that somebody told me I had a mental disability because I have PTSD over something. But it allowed me to get a medical marijuana card, and I very much enjoy my weed tea to sleep through the night. So,
And the military now has to pay her.
Yes.
Because
Now I
of
get a
that.
paycheck
So
every month
she
for
gets
disability.
compensation for that disability.
Yeah.
Which is only fair considering the crap that they put her
The
through.
BS, yeah.
Which was just really crappy. One day we'll share that with you, or she will, in the book that we write.
In the book that we write.
Or an in-person
Yeah.
class.
No,
So-
it's just when I'm sure you guys have all seen it or experienced it in one way or another, but because of the way our society is, we do have people in power roles, and most of the time they have the ability to be role models and guide you into the next thing. And then there's other people who get in those power roles and they will absolutely treat you in the worst way possible. And then when you try to call them on it and get them in trouble for that, no, then it all backfires and you're sent to a psyche valve because they're like, she's crazy. Obviously something's really wrong with her. Let's end her career, shit like that. So the manipulating puppet thing, because they had control and I was a peon,
And she was
maybe.
going to be a career Navy.
Yeah,
So
I would have
she
been a
was-
lifer.
She was going to
Yeah.
be 20 years in and then retire. And her career was cut short because of just the hierarchical, patriarchal, authoritarian. I'm not even sure how to categorize what it was. Just bullshit is what it was.
Because they could get away with it and they had a lot more rank than me. That's it.
And because she's a female. So,
I
if she'd
was
have been a
woman.
guy, it probably would have maybe been different. But
I don't know. Guys might have it worse.
You know how that is in
Yeah.
our society.
So of course the military has changed a ton because, when I was in, even being gay was like, nobody cared. It was just like, oh, don't show it and don't prove it because otherwise we're going to kick you out. And there were people who did that to get kicked out. They're like, oh, here's photos of me and somebody else. And, they wanted to get kicked out. But now it's way different. I know people who are in and there's some BS still, but people are way more hurt because of situations like mine that went up so far that now they're going back and looking at all these cases and saying, damn, we really didn't have systems in place to take care of these people. Somebody trying to find your phone, Mom?
I have no idea.
So all of that was all about me having severe stomach issues. But once getting counseling and doing a lot of my own work and figuring out how to deal with my own stresses, I guess you could say, trying to live in that box that I was trying to live in forever of like, nothing's wrong. Actually, Corona really helped that because once I lost my job last year, I was like, I'm going to do something I really want to do. F it. I don't want a regular job. You know what? I'm going to create something totally new and different for people like me that need a place, that want to share and learn together. And so that's what I did 6 months ago. And now we're here.
Sorry, we got a little off track.
That's my whole life story. No.
That's not her whole life story. There's more, but we'll tell you later.
So now you got me way up. Okay.
I'm kidding, of course.
That was only that was a large squirrel that ran through the yard for you guys.
Well, the point of that being that there's the right side and the left side of your body. When you have pains there, it's either emotional stuff inwardly or it's external stuff.
Internal versus external.
So that's the interesting part.
And then read the, there's, like I said, there's 7 pages that I took a picture of, and it's the one that says the physical imbalance symptoms. When you guys get to take a look at that and flip through and find ailments that you've had, and then look at what it says the causes are, because they're things that have happened to you. Like for me, I was, somebody controlled a part of my life for a long time, and it really sucked. So what's weird is I didn't have symptoms about that. I didn't admit I was angry till years and years later. And that's when my pain came up. So, and the more that I didn't resolve that issue, the more I kept trying to pretend like it was okay, the worse it got, to the point of hospitalization. So there's something to be said about that. And now that I have fixed it and gone through 3 years of counseling, fixed it. But I at least feel righted by everything that I've done to accept it. And I know that it's really hard to forgive people who have hurt you in like the worst way and taken things from you and like ruined parts of your life that you can never get back. But I had to get to a place, and this was only like 3 years ago, I was with you, where I just decided, I said, you know what, I'm going to forgive that guy. And I'm just going to be like, whatever you need to heal you so that you do not hurt anybody else. And that's what I had to say about it, like over and over again, 100 times. I had to have a mantra about it, so that anytime that I started to get angry that I should have retired at 38 and been set for life and then like traveling around the world. No, I'm not going to get mad about a life I didn't get, that I planned. It's more like, look at all the things I have now, so is getting out of that being angry. That was one of the things I said. And I was very angry, into what can I appreciate about my situation now? How do I move forward and actually send him healing energy is what I want to do, because we found this guy online.
I was going to go like try to ruin his life because I was that pissed. So,
well, And the other guy,
how many years later? 15 years. Hello, remember this?
Yeah. Well, I can't say that it wasn't a little bit gratifying to see that he was still moving around a ton and trying to hide himself and getting in trouble with the law. So it's like, he's still not a good person. That sucks. So I guess that's what flipped the switch for me, is like, no, I don't want to still be angry at him. I want to forgive him, and I want him to heal, so that I don't want there to be more of me's that he leaves in his path. Right. So it's like, I had to say, all right, thank you for hurting me, because it set me on a totally different path, which, the spear that cuts the deepest will give you the most ability to grow from. But to then wish for him, like send that out to him, a healing, it wasn't a spell. I did not do a spell for him, but just like a healing energy sent to him as many times as I could, until I didn't feel angry anymore. And you guys know it, since then, I don't have stomach attacks really, like ever, unless I eat a bunch of hot, spicy food now, but that's physical and I can control that. But the emotional stuff is gone. And I didn't know about Reiki at the time, but that's basically what I was doing, was trying to clear that blockage for myself to get past something. And this was this was 3 years. This was not like I did it one day and the next week I was totally fine. This takes time. That's what the shadow work is people are working on themselves. Shadow work, if it's fast for you, you're not going deep enough. Shadow work should be long and maybe somewhat painful and create feelings, lots and lots of feelings. That's why I say journaling is best, because sometimes it's not great to dump all of your emotional stuff on somebody else that cares about you, because then they worry about that. So putting it into a journal where you can reflect on it later and just go, damn, I was really hurt about this. And I wrote about this 4 or 5 times. And, some of the stuff that you say in your journal that you don't have to say to another human it's easier, I think. Because if I was to come to my mom and just always spill to her how upset and anxious and all of that, see where her head went? She's like, I'm going to get revenge. That's where my mind's going to go. Yeah. So giving it to the journal and just giving it, like handing it over.
That was my pre-witch days. That was before I started on this journey. I would never think that now, because you know, I know that that's not the way to,
Fix something.
to fix anything. And I'm probably not gonna get satisfaction out of it. And I just don't want to put bad things out into the world like that. Where before I just thought, you hurt my daughter, I'm gonna fuck with you, mother effer.
She's not a mama bear at all.
Not at all.
No.
So I want to, I know you guys have this to read, but because we have mostly females, Trent, if you don't mind, just
Yeah, go right ahead.
there's something really interesting in here when the chakra imbalances that I want to share with you guys, because it has to do with female issues. So a lot of things that many of you either may experience or know someone who experiences, like issues with your uterus, fibroids, menstrual, PMS, stuff like that, bladder. I used to have UTIs all the time. So the possible underlying causes of some of those, I think you all will recognize: possessiveness, jealousy. I think women are like more so, like I maybe I'll just speak for myself. Possessiveness, jealousy, relationship, romantic issues, holding on to resentment, victim of sexual abuse. When you see how the possible causes of what's being impacted, you really see the relationship between the two. And to me, it's just like, I like, okay, this is there's a reason why this part of me is affected, because what happened to me was related to that. So I just want to share that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
The way that I think about the energy centers, the chakras, are that as the organs that are affected, so stress shows up in your stomach, and that's the solar plexus. That's where that energy center is. So that's what the physical organs become affected, because our energy organs, right? We all have the aura around us and the energy that is expanded outwardly. It's not just the physical side of us. That starts to actually affect our organs that are physically around that thing. I don't know. I haven't read anything about with the heart chakra, but the people that are like really mean and disgusting to other people, if you've ever seen that, like, why are you rude to a cashier? There's no reason for that. Why are you rude to a server? Like, people who just kind of come out with hateful words and say awful things. Like, what happened to them with their heart chakras, to where it's like, all, instead of being pretty and green and glowing, it's like dingy. And I picture like the gray patches in
experience, lack of love.
Yeah.
Victim
mentality.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Jealousy, unresolved hurtful situations with romantic breakups or family quarrels. I mean, all those things are related to, when those things happen to you, your heart hurts.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it'll be interesting once you guys read it, that when you see the ailments or the way that these things manifest outwardly, it'll remind you of people in your life, and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because you know something about them and their past, and you can see how those things have now come into their world now, because it's affected by their energy centers, that if it's not healed, they take on these other attributes of being, an a-hole or something. So
yeah,
I find that is the most practical information that you can use right away, and then get into the healing part of it, where you use stones. I mean, the sage, all of the rituals before you do a healing are like the same for when I'm doing a spell or any of my ceremonial stuff. It's like, you protect yourself with a white light. You're going to light sage or a candle. You're going to, invite your spirit guides in, or your Reiki masters in. So any Reiki masters that have crossed over that still want to work with people. And then you go through the motions of like imagining your centers being clean and cleared. Oh yeah. And they all do rotate in a certain direction. And I don't know what direction that is right now, but so they all sort of go in the same direction. And that is when they're healthy, when they're circling and radiating in the same way. So, and then of course you're like, then you thank everybody for coming and helping you, and you're closing out the ceremony, and like, you blow out your candle and you're done. So the whole ceremonial process for it, I was like, well, that's me when I do a spell. Are you kidding me? I sit by myself. I go through the whole thing. I think about what I want to manifest and change. I love herbs. So I get together all of my plants and flowers that I want to use, whether I burn them or put them in a satchel for keeping. And so I'm like, wait, this should definitely be in all witches, like, first books, to figure stuff out, because it's practical knowledge that can be applied super easy by just thinking about it. Like, this is even stuff that's if you haven't done meditation yet for healing, this could really help in just the pre-meditation. That sounds like that's not the right way to say that, but before you meditate, not pre-meditation to stuff, but before the meditation acts, because it allows you to like visualize and picture what you're trying to heal or get through to yourself first.
Yeah, I never really, I don't know about anybody else, but I never really thought of chakras in relationship to to a witch's path. But I see now from this class that they're very, very closely related. And I was always worried about my chakra. I was like, oh my God, is there something wrong with it? I don't know. Then I went to the Spirits Fest and had a reading, and it was like, everything was aligned. I was like, oh, I felt so much better just knowing that. It was a relief because I was worried that I was, I don't know. I was just worried about it until I knew.
Yeah. And now you move forward like with a better thought about yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And those things can change. Speaking of chakras, so if anybody knows anything about them, they can change over time. They're different at different time periods of your life, of course, depending on what you're going through.
Like one is stronger than the other. Yeah.
Or they're out of balance.
Well,
or they're what do they call them when they go in the wrong direction? Maybe
they get really, blotches on them. That's what the visual of that with them getting like the gray blotches on it, because one of the psychic mediums that I love, James Van Praagh, that's what he talks about, is being able to see people's energies and like what radiates from them, and having blotches or spikes or like whole hanging things off of them, because
I was worried I had like a giant chip on my shoulder.
You have a big entity that's like looming over and like,
yeah,
hurt and murder people who hurt your loved ones. That's what was happening to you. You had like a little gargoyle on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So the very last thing was just the Reiki and exploring it for you guys when you read the pages that we posted to make it easier. But when you've balanced or you're keeping balanced your energy centers or healing them even, what it allows you to do is read the energy and auras of other people better. So because you are able to have a strong stance, you can increase your skills to read auras of others and energy of others. It gives you the ability to continue to heal yourself after something bad happens. Like for me, it's cars. I've seen so many car accidents that after that, I'm terrified to go in my car again. And I had to create stuff in my car to make me feel peaceful and calm to drive without being fearful. And, when you drive afraid, you're more likely to create an accident rather than avert one. So it's healing yourself, continually healing yourself through things, and then being able to heal others. So if somebody comes to you and you can just tell like they're really down, you might be able to offer them, hey, sleep with this crystal next to you, or wear this color, because there's color therapy, there's crystals, there's herbs, smells, sounds, all of that goes with it, because those all align in the same vibration as your energy centers. The increasing your manifestation for spells, which is of course my favorite, the better that I can get at manifesting change with spells, like, I don't know, I just like want to pop my collar at stuff like that. I'm like, yes, this worked again. It's not that I had doubt, but I'm always like, if the universe doesn't actually want it to happen, it's not going to let it happen. I always think that there's that balance out there. I don't just get to request anything, it needs to be within reason, or it needs to be justified, I guess. I don't know how I justify manifesting whatever I want, but I always order from the universe. I'm like, hey, can I get a front row parking spot today, please? It's really raining out. I'm just going to ask for it. I mean, there's no harm in asking, even if I don't get it. So it helps with that. And then, like I said, meditations, once you get into learning your energy centers, like you're propelling yourself into becoming a better meditator, better at meditation, which will evolve your practice for spells. So those three things kind of go like hand in hand. And then last but not least, what does everybody want? Peace within. Oh my gosh, to just walk around and be like happy and just have that peace and not worry. That's my favorite thing. I lived with anxiety for a long, long time. So
either that or love.
Peace within is like loving yourself from within. Yes. What kind of love?
Romantic love, of course. Everybody always seems to want that. So I don't know.
I did
because we think we're going to be happier, but
I don't know.
I have to. Are you? Was that?
I'm all done. Yes, that is everything.
I just have to tell you guys a story about. Yeah. So I think I might have mentioned to those of you who've been here, like Trent and Sarah, know that my son moved here. My son and daughter-in-law moved here from Denver last year during November during COVID, because Denver, Colorado went on work from home. So they're like, we're not going to stay here and live in be confined. We're going to Florida. They came for a visit, and then they're like, we're moving to Florida, rented a house and everything. Is like, we'll deal with it when it closes, when it opens back up, we'll figure out something then. We don't really know what we're going to do. They stayed here long enough. They didn't want to go back. And he just really started looking for a job in the last couple of months. And I really wanted to do some kind of a spell or something, but being so new at it, I was worried that I might mess it up. So I'm still I don't know about you guys, but I'm still nervous about spells. I have to be honest with you. I haven't done very many because I just, I haven't built my confidence up yet. But anyway, Jamie, we talked about this, manifesting something for John to get a job and so you want to tell the rest of the story?
Well, I wanted to make sure that it was something my brother wanted. So when you do spells for other people, be careful to not try to bring them something that they actually don't want. I mean, that's not the best look. So I just kept talking to him about it. I'm like, well, so the very last conversation that I had with him, I was like, I need to know exactly what you want me to ask from the universe. Like, what do you want? I said, my thing was get a job within 50 miles, because he was getting job offers, but they were in Jacksonville, which is like 4.5 hours away, or, on the other side of Orlando, 3.5 hours away. So he was getting job offers in Florida, but that means our family wasn't going to be together. So I just told him, I was like, well, listen, brother, I have some clout with the universe. And when I ask for things, like, I just have success with this. So you need to be really specific with me so you don't get something you don't want. And he was like, well, there's not going to be anything within 50 miles. So I asked for it anyways. And that was it. I just said, our family has been through a lot and we're finally all in the same place. And this will create healing for every single one of our family members. And I'm like, this is good for us. So I just asked the universe. I was like, I'd like for my brother to be offered a job that's within 50 miles of where he lives right now. It wasn't like 5 days later, he texted the group chat, the family chat, was like, we're celebrating. I just got a job offer in Tampa, which is roughly an hour's drive. So it's probably, if you were in a helicopter and you went from straight there to there, it's 50 miles. But, driving, it's probably more like 70.
With traffic, yeah.
Yeah, and traffic.
Yeah.
But it happened for him. And
it's
he's
right
like,
downtown too. So.
Yeah. So super easy drive to get there.
Yeah.
But the best part is, it's a job that works from home. He doesn't even have to drive into the office. It's just the business is within Tampa, but he gets to work from home this whole time. So
yeah, but check it out. So
check it out.
At breakfast on Sunday, because we get together as a family and go to breakfast on Sundays. He told everybody that he'd gotten a job offer from Hertz, and they wanted him to build like a 95-person team. He's in cybersecurity. That's what he does. And he was like, and he'd already accepted this job in Tampa. He accepted a job in Daytona, but when Tampa came along, he's like, I'm not going to take it. And they were doing the paperwork and they were slow. So anyway, but then he's like, and Jamie's like, yeah, when you ask the universe, it just keeps coming. You can't just expect like one thing. So the fact that he got this other job with a really big company, he's like, man, but he just decided to go. They sort of made up their minds that Tampa was going to be it. And it was, he likes the company. It's an app. They run an app for something or another. So and he can work 100% remote. So that is the story about her and asking the universe for stuff and
for manifesting.
Yeah. And also like being specific. So she did the smart thing in talking to him. I feel like I don't think I would have known to do that with my inexperience. Would be to ask him, like, what do you really want? So if you're, as a new witch, if you're thinking about doing something, someone in your family needs something, you might want to talk to them and get real,
very specific. Yes.
The
more specific, the better. Don't be afraid to ask for a blue flamingo, even though nobody has seen a blue flamingo. Like, get as specific as you can so that the universe is like, I can hear you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let me help you get that. Just the specifics of it. So I didn't ask for I didn't even ask for it to be in his field. I didn't ask for that. I said job offer within 50 miles. That was it. So that he could stay in Florida. So he could stay here. So obviously there needed to be like a salary thing, but there were no other specifics other than that. And I was very happy that the universe delivered. And I definitely don't pop my collar about it. I'm more humble than anything. And she's boasting. I try to be like, that happened, and just squash it. Cause
well, I just think it's really cool because, you know, it's like, this is the power that we have with our energy.
We do.
If we focus it
To manipulate. Yeah.
I mean, we can manipulate it.
Yeah.
So, I really think that's a beautiful thing about this whole path. Like, this is what we can do.
I just have to stay humble. I have to be
when we learn and we practice and we follow them,
yes,
you know, stay within the
do no harm.
Yeah, do no harm, and then be careful, because we have that one situation where my other daughter Jolene, she asked about weather, you know, like have good weather at some place, and then what happened was there was good weather there, but then somewhere else it like was really bad.
There was
she
a
got
freak
stuck.
blizzard. Yeah.
She got stuck she was traveling somewhere. I don't know the whole. You want to tell the story?
No, that was the thing. She was a brand new witch. This was like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, maybe. Gosh,
be careful with the weather. Yeah.
And that's what she was like. I don't want anything to go wrong with the flight. Like, let there be good weather for this flight. Let there be good weather with me returning. She was only going to be there like 3 days. So any delay would mean she wouldn't go. So that was her spell, is to like clear weather in this whole area for 3 days. That's all she wanted. Well, in turn, and she did that because she saw that it was predicted to have snow on like the second or third day she was there, and she didn't want any delays. So when she did the spell asking for clear weather, the storm moved to the other side of Kansas, because she was living in Kansas City, and it was like a freak blizzard in May or something crazy, like a time when they would never have this. Well, that still delayed all the flights, and everything on her trip with her best friend went horribly wrong. Like, they got into terrible fights. She was left like an hour from this girl's house in a city she didn't know. She had to navigate herself out of there. The girl basically threw her entire suitcase out the second floor window and was like, find your own effing ride to the airport. Like, the whole trip went terribly. And so when we got together and talked about things, it was kind of like, yeah, you just don't. Messing with the weather is asking for trouble, in my opinion. I don't know. There's other ways you could word it. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to. I definitely asked for clearer weather on my wedding, or at least like weather that we could have a wedding in, because I did an outside one. And I did not get rain. I did it June 22nd.
It was so flipping hot though. We were all dying.
And there was no breeze on a really hot day. So we were like all sweating. I was like, oh, I really wish it would just rain for like 1 second. I really wish it would rain for 1 second. And it didn't. But this is why
it was June 22nd. So you kind of have to expect that.
Yeah. So it worked out well. I wanted it to be like, you know, where I didn't have to have the backup rain plan. But anyways, now that we've gone through like the lesson for the night, this is the New Witch Q&A. So I like to open the floor to anybody who has questions. It does not have to be about our topic now or our life stories that we've shared, but anything in general that you want to ask as far as on your path, things that you want to know more about that you've dabbled in or want to dabble in, references, websites, books, anything you can think of. So this is really the time to just ask any questions you would like. And if I know, I will definitely give you the answer. If I don't, anybody from the floor can comment also, as far as like what you guys know for whatever the question is. So the floor is open to you guys. We're going to be quiet now.
So I actually have something, excuse me, I wanted to share. It's not really a question. It's just, like, I don't know anybody else that's like spiritual. So I want to tell you guys.
Okay.
So I've been like, just like a lot in my head lately, just like thinking about the way I think about things.
Yeah.
So, like, the why I'm thinking certain ways and trying to change like my thoughts and my actions into like positive ones, and really working on that, since I tend to like stay in like my negative space because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And I've also been like reaching out to the universe and like the earth and being really thankful and like appreciating its beauty and what it does for us. And so I've been going out, thankfully, like I just moved to the beach. So I've been going out to the beach to watch like the sunrise, and I would go, there's like a little dock with like a little like mini forest.
Yeah.
Like hello to the earth, hello to the animals and stuff. And when I do that, I usually catch something. So this morning I saw a baby coyote running around when I was saying hello to the earth. And it's just like amazing that it sends back science to me.
Yes.
I just want to like brag about like the universe is like great. I've also like returned a spell to the earth. It was an old healing spell. I made a new one. And I wasn't quite sure because I've never like really done that before. So like, I included a little piece of paper that had my manifestation on it, and I like buried it into a little hole in the sand, like secluded.
Yeah.
I went back the next morning, and a crab had dug a hole right on top of it and tossed the piece of paper out. And I don't know what it meant.
Oh.
But it had like other ingredients in there. It didn't touch those. It just tossed out the piece of paper. So I'm not quite sure what that meant. But I found it really interesting. It dug a hole on the exact spot, like where I buried it. Anyway.
Yes. Well, sir, I have to ask you then, with the earth rejecting it, did you write it somewhere else? Did you record that for, normally this would be in a grimoire or a book of shadows, whichever you want to record your stuff in, but a journal, for lack of another term. But did you record that manifestation from that paper?
Like it was a really specific one, so I remember what it said. I think I did record it when I made it like a couple months ago. The spell was like my first spell, so it wasn't very successful. So I'm thinking that's why I may have rejected it, because it didn't really do much for me. My newest spell though, it was a money jar, and I noticed results like the second day I made it. So
how wonderful.
It's becoming more receptive. Things are working. So
yes. And the more gratitude that we have towards everything, when we walk in that mindset of gratitude, you're putting out a positive energy into the universe it's going to return that to you. The law of attraction, the power of threefold, as people will say with some stuff, but whatever you're putting out is what you're going to get back. So if you've constantly changed since that time of your first spell, and now you're getting to that place of like morning gratitude walks. Oh my gosh, everybody should do a 10-minute morning gratitude walk or evening gratitude walk to just say thank you for everything and anything. It changes the way you see stuff. It forces you to be grateful for things. When people first start doing gratitude walks, they're like, I'm grateful for having a house and food, and so they get very material. That's how we survive, right? This is our basic needs being met, survival. But then later it's like, I am so grateful that like the diversity in the world, that every flower that blooms can be so different, and that I can collect it, smell it, dry it, use it in a spell. So I started to get really crazy and specific. And before I know it, it's 20 minutes into it. So I love that you're doing that. That's going to definitely change like your whole state. You're probably helping align your energy centers just by doing that, having gratitude.
Yeah, I've noticed like, especially like when I'm having gratitude and that, like those moments, like I notice something like right back, like usually like immediately after, like something good happens. I'm like, wow, like it's really like listening in a way.
I love that. Well, I always feel like I've always had this thing with animals in me, where anytime I'm out and about, I usually see something amazing with animals that I'm like, what? How does this? It always happens. So I love that it's happening for you too. It's those glimpses into the universe that most people don't take the time to, number one, stop and see, because they're not paying attention, and then appreciate, right? Like the appreciation for the variety. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for bragging. I loved it. I loved that story. The floor is open to anybody else. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing with us.
I have a question.
Sure.
So was there something before this that I missed?
Yeah, we started at 6 and we just talked about Reiki, the healing energy centers.
I'm in a different time zone. That's why.
Oh, yeah. We're every Monday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Eastern. Oh, yeah. It should say that on Zoom. I don't know if it says that.
Yeah, it must have been me.
Oh, yeah. We today was the Reiki and energy healing and going through.
There is some stuff that she posted to.
Oh yeah, look at the picture.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm seeing that right now, and that is like really useful for me, because I was actually going to ask if so I'm kind of going through a spiritual awakening right now, and it's really overwhelming. It's like a lot at once, and I know that like my third eye chakra has been just kind of tired out lately because of how much I've been using it, and I know that that's manifesting in like physical symptoms for me. So I was wondering if you had any advice to supporting that.
The advice is right there on that sheet, and I think that it tells you how to balance. But if your third eye has herbs and plants and stones and any smells and colors that are associated with it. And if you need relief for that, to bring it back into balance, surround yourself with that. I mean, the number one thing I think of is amethyst.
Yeah, I'm wearing that right now.
There you go. And just sit with your amethyst or put it around you. Have it near you when you're sleeping, by your bedside. But you can also program your crystal to tell it, like, crystal, like, your job right now is to help me keep my third eye balanced and to replenish it. One of the questions that we had for reflection at the beginning of the meeting, which is exactly what you're asking about, it's in what ways do you restore your own energy? So when you push all that energy out and you're using a lot of it, what do you do to restore it within yourself? This could be nature walks, sitting alone with yourself, like meditating would be one of them. And meditating, not for manifestation, but for just clearing it out, like becoming with no ego. For me, I'm a crystal person and an herb person. So I'll go sit in nature with my crystals, and like, that is my time. And I take about an hour to myself to do that. There's a lot of the binaural beats. So this gives us the sounds. Yeah. So put those on and just sit there and just be with that stuff to try to recharge. You can also recharge under the sun or under the moon, whatever energy you feel more drawn to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this recorded?
Yeah.
It sounds like really helpful. So I wish I would have seen more of it. So it's recorded then?
Yes. I'm recording them, and I've been very slow about getting them on a YouTube channel because I'm technically supposed to have permission from everybody, which I haven't put a waiver up or anything, but it's for the people in the meetings that want to go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. So I can see who attended, and then I can send people those links, like a link to an unlisted, I think it's called unlisted on YouTube, to where if you have the link, you can view it, but otherwise it's not searchable. You can't see it. So I just have to edit them and take out people's faces. I have to blur the screen in between the people talking. But yeah, if you put your email into, probably not the chat, if you message me on Meetup, I hope that's how you found me. I think that's probably found the Meetup app. And yeah. If you just message me on Meetup with your email address, I can send you a link to it.
Okay.
If you want it sooner than later, it'll be an unedited version. So it'll just be everything with the faces blurred. But yeah, that's what we're trying to get to, because there's so many people who can't make it right now and also I can't be available 24/7. I'm like, oh man, there's so many people that still aren't able to come to this to try to get the information out. That yeah, I hope to post stuff on YouTube, because we're doing it anyways. We're recording it, why not put it out there for our group members? The Meetup group is at like 222 the last time I checked now. So that blows my mind, but yeah. Sai?
Hi, I got a question about healing.
Oh, sure, okay.
Have you done any healing for evil eye attacks?
Or say that again?
Getting attacked by the evil eye?
The evil eye attack? No, I haven't. I only have an amulet that I hang that I got in the Middle East. So I haven't had to do anything. For me, I only do protection spells, which I try to cover the basis of anybody with their bad energy, that it gets returned to them. That's the only type of thing that would be even close to that.
Yeah, because it happened to me last year, and I didn't even really understand what it was until it happened. And I figured out that's what it was. It's like an herbal bath. And then if you have it on you, then you feel like a snake's in your head. You'll feel this thing come out when you're taking an herbal bath, but it goes back in. I've been trying to get rid of it because it's really annoying, but I was just wondering if Reiki heals it, or if...
Yeah, so Reiki would remove any entities that are stuck on you. So if something has become stuck in an energy field or center or on your auric body, your energy body, that's what Reiki would shake off of you. And
would
then
it go to somebody else? Because I don't want it to go to somebody else.
No, it just, so the funny thing about energy is it can't be created or deleted. It's all already there, and it's transferred from thing to thing. And there's places within the earth that there's supposed to be negative energy in those places. It's where it is able to live and survive totally fine. And it can transfer to other things to teach lessons, but not in the way that you're thinking, where it's like an attack on a psyche. That's something else. That's an energy that gets stuck on you because you're unaware, you're not protected, like the white light protection. So even if even when you're Reiki healing, you guys can probably hear our puppy. Sorry. Tank. He saw somebody pass in front of the window.
Yeah, like I learned to cope with it, which is like I live with it fine now. It doesn't really bother me. It just is one of those annoying things that I know is there, and I just like I've been trying to get rid of it. And
yeah, I would definitely tell you to go to a Reiki healing. Around us, they're $45 for a half hour. It would be worth it for me to try to see if it gets better. And you can either disclose it or not disclose it. That's another thing that people always wonder is, do you tell people your problem or not? You know, you can say that you have certain energy centers that are affecting you, that you feel the effect, but you don't have to say what it is. And most of the time they'll say like, ooh, I felt something really dark come off of you, or, you know, they have a way to describe the energy transfer that happens. And that the negative energy or anything stuck to you goes back to whatever sent it. Like, I think that's why I love protection spells so much, because the moment that you stop whatever somebody sent your way, it goes back to them. So it's like, yeah, go live on that person. You know, they sent it this way, they can have it back. They can live with that. That would be the only advice I have for you, Sky. I don't have any real experience in dealing with that at all. So sorry, I couldn't give you an answer for that. But I would start with Reiki.
not a lot of people do. It's very hard to find answers. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially for something like that. So but for the most part, I just draw a lot. It don't really bother me. I try not to let it bother me. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it one of those things where giving it attention feeds it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't try to feed it. Like I know, yeah, I just try to ignore it for the most part, but I'm aware that it's there. Like I have a good life, so I'm not too bad. No, I just want to get it out though.
I often carry like my protection spells. I make in little satchels that are sort of it's a thin cloth, not necessarily a cheesecloth type, but a thin cloth, so that
There's
I
one
can
hanging over there.
smell and feel everything that's inside of it, the stones and herbs. And I just carry that around with me for a while, especially when I know I'm going into a situation that could be kind of shitty. Like I prepare myself for that. And then afterwards, I just return it to the earth when I don't feel like I need that same level of protection, you know. But every year we do a salt circle around our house and a clearing and a blessing, and just try to keep it that way. We sage a lot. I mean, that helps shake things off. And singing bowl music.
bowls.
Yeah, singing bowls dispel energy. It actually cuts through them. Like if you can imagine in movies when they show matter kind of like breaking up into a million billion little pieces, singing bowls does that for energies that don't belong. That's how it rebalances them. That's how it shakes off like the gray spots and stuff. Yeah.
Cool,
I hope
thank
it
you.
helps. Sure. Yeah. All right. The floor is back open. I see our expert, Rebecca, went ahead and headed out. So that was really cool to have that happen. Get a Reiki master on the night we're going to talk about it. That was pretty cool.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So you said the thing about like sending back the energy or whoever sent it.
Mhm.
And so since I'm really new to this, I haven't done any like spells or anything, but I've been manifesting a lot. And one thing I've been manifesting is like a specific person.
Okay.
And but I feel like it's just working on me because suddenly I'm becoming obsessed with this person.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't think I'm very good at it yet, but I was wondering if like they were rejecting that or something.
Yeah, well, it's interesting when you say that you're manifesting a person. So my first thought was that you're manifesting your ideal person, sort of like in Practical Magic when she does the spell that's like makes an impossible mate for herself, right? She says all these things about a person that she wants to meet because she doesn't actually want to meet somebody, you know, makes them with one green eye, one blue eye, and, you know, all these things. So I don't, and then you said you're becoming obsessed with the person, or you feel like you might be, that might be strong. But that if it's a person already in existence and you're trying to attract them to yourself, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you looking at it for a romantic thing or for like a mended relationship, a family?
A romantic thing.
A romantic thing. it sounds like you're starting to dabble in like love spells. If this was to be in spell world, this would be a love spell to bring love to you.
Mhm.
The hard part about that is if you don't love yourself first, then it doesn't end up well. So I don't ever do spells for people for other people. I do it so that they love themselves more and more, because what you'll realize when you really love yourself a lot, you suddenly realize that the person that you thought you wanted doesn't actually match you at all. So
Yeah.
that's my experience with it. I'm not going to sway you one way or another, but it's something to think about, that if it's not working and if you're getting this negative effect from it, I don't want to say you're doing it wrong. That's not the thing to say, but your intention that you're setting for yourself when you're manifesting
Isn't the right one.
Yeah.
Well, and there's something about, you know, so I'm new to this. So I've read a lot of books, and Jamie's not going to say it, but as a new witch, I'm going to say it, which is, you know, I mean, to try to manipulate and, you know, where you're not doing a spell, but you're still trying to manifest this thing where it sounds to me anyways, like draw somebody to you, a particular person to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you pick up a new witch's guide, anyone, I have a bunch of them, you know, they'll tell you that instead of doing that, just ask to bring the right person to you, because whoever that is that you're trying to attract may not be, even though you think that you want them, they might not be the right person for you. The universe knows who's the right person for you. And you may be trying to bring someone to you that's not really good for you. And so I would just say to make yourself more attractive, you know, to manifest that, like make me more attractive to the opposite sex and let the universe bring the person to you that will love you and treat you, because I don't know who this person is. Maybe they're the greatest guy on the planet, but a person on the planet, but you know, maybe they're not for you. I mean, it may just not be meant for you. So anyway, when you read about spells and things in new witches books, and I have a couple, I don't have them right in front of me, but you know, they'll talk specifically about this, about trying to make somebody fall in love with you. And those things tend to backfire.
Yeah. And I think it started off with like where I was in a good place with all those right intentions, but like over time I realized that now it's not working anymore, and you're right.
Well, and I think some of it is like, you know, you have to, I believe anyway, that you have to set your intention and do your spell and then let it be. I mean, if you're revisiting it, you've got to let it do its work and let the universe do its work. And you got to believe that you know, you got to just believe in it. And then if it doesn't work, first of all, you need to give it some time, because the universe is on its own time, and what's right for you right now may not be right for you in 3 months. So things change, you know, we're in this constant state of change every minute that we're breathing. And so anyway.
Yes. No, the thing she is saying is hard to tell somebody, especially if this is the kind of
thing. It makes a lot of sense though, like more sense than I could get out of anyone else I know. So it's really helpful.
I would say it feels like you already know that the energy is already redirecting you. It's already telling you the energy, you know, energy is directing me this way. So it's like you're feeling your own blockers is kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is good intuition.
You're becoming obsessive about it. That's an indication that it's veered off the path that you really want it to be on, because it should, you know, it should be more natural, I think, and not an obsessive type of, you know, crazy thing. Because this is a spiritual path that we're on, and so there should be peace with it. You know, and not that there's always peace, because some things are very hard. Like, you know, maybe there was somebody that I was with for 15 years and I really would have liked that to work out because I put a lot into it. But, you know, came a point in time where I had to realize that wasn't where I was supposed to be, even though I still really care about that person. So sometimes it's not peace. Sometimes it's like, I'm sad about this, but I'm going to be sad and move on and open my heart to something else. So.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does, because I Like that's what I do want to be at peace. And I've just been stressed out thinking like, is this what being spiritual is like? Is it like stressful? And you're right. So
Yeah. Well, I would say if you're still wanting to manifest love in your life, but don't give it a direction or person or place or anything, but just that you're bringing love into your life. And that can be in any direction, an animal, your family members, a past relationship with somebody that, you know, to renew that, a friendship. And with your happiness, and when you start glowing because you're surrounded by love, people will be attracted to you. And you're like, whoa, 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 I didn't need 5 guys like as suitors. You know, I just needed 1. But because you're glowing that, you know, that you're radiating that love outward, people are going to be drawn to that. And then you'll have to make a decision and go, all right, which one of these 5 contestants is right for me?
Because witches aren't the only one picking up energy. We're all picking up energy if
Yeah.
we're even the
Mhm.
slightest in tune to what's going on around us. We just don't always know it,
Yeah.
you know,
Or
for
admit it to
people, or
ourselves.
admit it to ourselves. So
Yeah.
we're all picking up other people's energies. And yeah, so put that out there, that love thing, and open your
Yeah.
heart, and you know.
So a good color for you to meditate on is green for the heart chakra, for that energy center there.
And what about a crystal? What would be a good one for that?
I mean, rose quartz.
yeah, I got that.
Yeah, rose quartz and amethyst, those two can go hand in hand. This is going to go with the higher spiritual chakras that are
Mhm.
really in tune. Stay away from red, because red is like lust and has more of the direction of like the blood and the physical love. So more like love making rather than spiritual.
Just straight up sex.
I was trying not to be crude. But
Just
So I
straight
just stay away from that.
And you don't really want that. Like, you'd like to have that as part of it, but maybe not. That's not the
it's
whole
not the
focus.
center.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good reason why, you know, men have always made women in red with red nails and red lipstick, because that color exudes that like
Red hair,
fiery.
fingernails.
She's
There's
saying,
songs like that.
yeah, the red color is not about the emotional caring love. It's about the physical attachments to sexual love, if that can be a thing.
So I take heels dance classes, which is like a very sensual type of dancing.
You
Is
take
that
what kind of dance classes?
Heels, she said?
heel?
Oh, heels? Okay.
And I like it because it feels like empowering
Yeah.
for a woman, but
Yeah.
is that something that I should avoid?
No, because you can own your sexuality and be totally like strong and know yourself.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Don't. It's not that you should not want that and own it and be proud of it, but it's that what you attract in a class like that versus if somebody sees you giving a super heartfelt speech or saving an animal on the side of the road, it's a different kind of caring that happens.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in the class, they might be able to picture you in bed and what you look like from behind possibly, versus on the other end of it, it's like, what does that look like if she's the mother of my child? So there's a very different love relationship there and satisfaction. So no, I wouldn't tell you to stop that at all. I used to salsa dance all the time, and I felt like that was very sexual all the time, but it was part of the fun of it, because then I got to, you know, walk away from the whole thing. It was like huge flirting sessions on the dance floor.
Yeah.
That's how it was all the time. But yeah, so that's really awesome. Sarah? Oh, I can't hear you, babe. Oh. You mean the universe still has not given you a new computer? I asked already.
They're working now?
Yes,
There you
ma'am.
go.
Okay. I just wanted to say to Rachel, because I'm kind of going through the same thing, you know, and I keep hearing like all of these signs like saying, you know, like rejection is like the universe's protection, and also like to like work on yourself and, you know, like start hobbies, and like, you know, like you're saying you're doing that class, and that's more attractive to like, you know, do your thing and, you know, have hobbies and all that, because somebody would want somebody who has, you know, things like that going for them, instead of like just sitting around not doing anything.
Yes, you become much more interesting with all of those things. So
That is actually like, Sarah, you just hit a nail on the head. I said that right. Hit a nail on the head. With this is something that my mom and I just talked about like last week, because we've been trying to manifest a new relationship in her life, because she has been without a partner for about 2 years, and she feels really, really ready. And she's like, damn it, I just want to meet somebody already. And then she's realizing some of her thought patterns and what she's going through, that then she's like, I really need to worry more about myself at this point. Like, what can I do for me? Why is it that I want to just attract somebody to me, or that I want somebody in my life, but let me work on me more. I absolutely loved what you said, that that's the universe protecting you when you don't find somebody. Oh my gosh. I was abstinent for 5 effing years. And I was like, you know what? I don't ever have to have sex again. I don't care. I'll be alone my whole life. I didn't really want that, but I'd become so okay with it that then the universe was like, oh, here's your perfect mate. And now probably your future husband, which came out of nowhere. I was like, no, I wasn't looking for this. And I rejected it for like a year. I was like, no. And I struggled. Like, I wanted to walk away from it all the time. I was like, this is too hard. It's too hard being with somebody. I like being alone. I can do whatever the hell I want. Nobody cares.
But relationships take work.
Relationships take work.
They take compromise.
Yeah.
When you try to blend 2 lives together. So that was a struggle for her.
Yeah.
To give up her freedom and her your freedom. It was my freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, your own house, your own things, your say. Nobody else, you don't have to ask anybody anything, you don't have to check with anyone. There's freedom in that. It's beautiful until it's not. I
don't know. I was fine, but that's when everybody kept trying to tell me, you need to date. Why are you not out there? You need to go out. You need to do this. I'm like, yeah, but
she was young,
I'm fine
to be like that.
Was young. I still
How many years ago was it? 7 years ago?
8 years ago.
Okay, so she was like 32. That's young to be just like 31 to be like, yeah, I don't need anybody in my life. Come on, what?
I know nobody else understood it, but I felt like it was the universe protecting me for those 5 years that I did not run into anybody that, I tried Match back in like 2009 or 10 or something. It was a joke. Like, okay, this is funny. Like, I'm not even going to try, but everybody made me feel like I needed to be with somebody. Like I needed to have a partner. Being alone was weird. If anybody likes the show Friends, from a million years ago, there was the one part where Rachel, Jennifer Aniston, is like, you can't go to dinner by yourself. Everybody think you're a weirdo. Like they'll think there's something wrong with you. Well, that was me. I'm like, I go to the movies by myself. I go to dinner by myself. I really don't care what people think. But everybody around me is going, you're weird. Like you shouldn't like these. You should want a person. So,
Well, I too like what Sarah said about the universe protecting you, because I feel like, all of the things that maybe happened in my past life or my past relationship was the universe telling me, get out now. And I wasn't listening. Instead, I stuck around for the pain and the heartbreak and all the stuff that went with it. And, and just kept hoping that somehow miraculously things were going to turn around in my favor, and he was going to realize that I was the woman that he wanted to be with and marry and stuff. And you know what, it never happened. And finally I just broke away from it and moved here. That's how I got away from it. I had to move states 1,000 miles away to break from it, because it was that much of a negative influence, a toxic influence in my life.
And it had become such a routine, right? How do you go from doing the same thing for 15 years and then have nothing in its place? But when she moved here, she got her 2 daughters back in her life. So
I got family. And I still have family.
Ooh, reminds me of another movie, something like The Sun Over Tuscany or something weird like that.
Tuscan Sun, Under the Tuscan Sun.
The taller lady, she tells her, she's like, you're gonna have a marriage and lots of love in your life and all this. She's like, oh sweet, I'm gonna meet a husband. And she's thinking what the universe is telling her, she's gonna get exactly what she wants, a husband that loves her, the guy of her dreams, whatever. But that's not what happens in the movie. She has a young couple, they get married, and there's a baby, and everybody, she finds a family instead of a partner for herself. So the way that the universe brings love into your life is not always that, you're the most romantic awesome partner for you, but relationships that are way more healing and special than a partnership at that time could be. And then when the time is right, that person will magically walk into the room and you'll be like, do I know you from somewhere?
And I'm finally starting. I've just in the last week or so, I've met two people. Like one girl is young, like my daughter's ages or so, and she's a baby witch. And so we had that in common. We just started talking on the beach. I complimented her necklace. It was a moonstone. And I knew as soon as she said moonstone, I just knew. And then a little bit, like 2-3 sentences later, I was like, witch? She's like, yes. So I've already invited her here to join us. She's just moving, getting out of a relationship. And then another woman I started talking to at the AT&T store, and she's like older than me, but we're both Scorpios, and we hit it off. And next week we're going to take a trip to go see some old cemeteries up north around Orlando or something, because we both really like cemeteries. So, I found myself just lately like opening up to the possibility of letting people into my life. And my experience in life is always like, I built these walls, and I wouldn't let anybody in. I didn't trust people. All people were users and fuckers, and fuck them. And, they suck. People are just terrible, but they're not, and a lot of it was me with those walls attracting that kind of negative influence into my life. So I feel like I'm finally breaking those barriers down, and I feel a lot better about it. So she has recently created her house into be one of the best feelings ever. You walk in here and you're like, is this a store? Can I buy the things that you've made around here? I mean, it feels like a little witchy shop in her house, and I love it. So that we've been doing the meetings here now for like 2 months maybe, but because she's letting herself lead, right? And the universe speak back to her rather than going, listen, universe, here's what I need. I want it right now. I want it yesterday. I'm going to go to this place. I expect to meet somebody, and like very demanding that control, that control and flexible thing that we talked about earlier for her. And now that she's kind of like opening herself up to other experiences of what love and friendship and relationships might look like, boom, now she's got back-to-back people coming into her life. So yeah.
I also want to say I'm like also going through that same thing, like since this breakup, like I was like sitting around like moping around all depressed and shit, but I've been like doing like a lot of like self-love. I've been I joined the gym, I've been working out, like lost 15 pounds, stopped really drinking every day, and like also like instead of like I was just like, oh yeah, I want love, but then like I started to like do stuff like start these like hobbies, do like nature walks, and like meet other witches and stuff. And like I am like on like dating websites, but like I'm like, do I like when I get messages, I'm like, I don't really have time for this. Like I like the
that's how I feel.
Yeah,
that's me too. I'm like, oh God, there's too much energy. Yeah. And I got other things I'm expending my energy on, like my hobbies and my craft.
I think a big part of it is you guys are learning to find yourselves again too, so that takes a lot of energy.
I think that's true, Trent. Absolutely true. Yeah.
Find yourself and then love that self. Go like, hey,
yeah,
I really love you. We did a meeting a while back that I said, if you can wake up and look at yourself in the morning, or maybe not wake up, it could be at night, whatever. But if you can look at yourself in the mirror and really stare at every single thing on your face, on your body, and go, I love you. I really love you. Like, I'm glad that we're in this together. Because you've got your emotional, spiritual side talking to your physical side, that's what you represent. And if those two things do not match, if you're not happy with your exterior and your interior is like fighting that, you can't help but feel negative about yourself. And that only pushes out more of that energy into other stuff. So where you come with the longing and the wantings, you're also like in a self-hate kind of secretly like going,
Listen, you're like treading so close to Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Listen, that's my
You don't even know. Does everybody know Dr. Joe Dispenza? Mm-hmm. Evolve your brain and breaking the habit of being yourself. This is all about, it's a book I'm listening to on repeat, which is breaking the habit of being yourself. And it ties so closely to what we're doing with witchcraft and this path that we're following, because it's all about what you think and the power of your mind and how we create our realities by the things that we think, and how as human beings, we have this tendency to get either stuck in the past and repeating this thing repeating the experience that we've had, like or we're either stuck in the past or we're stressing about the future. We're not living in the present moment. So if you want something like to read or listen to, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Evolve Your Brain or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I'm telling you, it ties right into what we talk about in every single one of these
when we talk about our energy,
when we talk about energy and the power of your mind, because Jamie always says this when we talk about spells or any kind of work in witchcraft. It's like, what is your number one tool that you bring to the table?
Most powerful tool.
It's not any of the things on your altar. It's not candles, crystals. It's your mind. That's the most powerful thing that you have. And so, anyway, I just had to say that because
I know
we've been circling around it like so much through this meeting, and I just can't help but think I haven't started meditating yet. Does anybody meditate?
Yeah, sort of. It's
hard. Yeah. So I have to, I'm like, where am I going to meditate? I have a dog that's probably going to bother me, but I'm going to find a spot because I'm going to get into the zone where I can get into that subconscious level that I need to get to like move past some of the shit that, this is human nature. We do this. We're basically trained to do it actually because of the, Newton and what we've been, passed down through school. Generation after generation of, hey, we're all just here and we don't have any control over what's happening. That's not true.
It's an illusion.
We have lots of control because we're all just matter. We're all just energy. So anyway, now I'm going to get off my soapbox.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Now I'm on a soapbox.
You have your own soapbox.
I have my soapbox. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. She usually has the soapbox. So.
But our minds are our most powerful tool, and that is what allows us to see, feel, and cleanse and heal our energy centers. And that's how it all wraps back around. Like sometimes I get caught on these other things that are part of the physical existence that our souls are struggling with as well. And when you bring yourself back around to that healing power of just knowing yourself, that alone sets you in a good direction to know yourself and love yourself and then move that forward, like to other people, to your space, to how you treat yourself, what you feed yourself, how you drink.
And if you think about it, if you love yourself, what kind of energy are you putting out? Because you're exuding that energy of self-love.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what? It's attractive. It's beautiful. People are drawn to that kind of thing. So
and I definitely felt that like a few weeks ago before I started falling into this like problem. I definitely felt that energy.
Yeah. And if you can pick up on it, one of the things that you said is you started to realize maybe you're not good at it or you're not doing it right. And those are normal fears. But if you start to see it manifesting in a way that's not intended to, I hate to say now it's not working right. It's not creating the energy and the space that you want. So changing it up would be the thing to do.
It's not right for you at this time. Let's put it that way. It may be some other time that you can manifest that. But right now, clearly, if it's become an obsession, it's something that you might want to change.
It just needs to be
refocused.
Reframed, refocused.
Refocused. I hope you can. Are you okay with doing that? Do you feel like you have the tools to?
Yeah,
Yeah. It will take some work, but
I hope you come back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Or in a couple weeks to give us an update.
Come back. Come back. I want to know how this goes.
The puppies.
I really do. So I know this is your first time with us, right?
Yeah. And I'll definitely come back.
Are you the one on a different time zone?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm in Wisconsin, so I'll come back at 5 next week.
Okay. And if not next week, then come back the following week and just let us know. Because now you need to, now that you know, you've got confirmation, I think you knew already.
Yeah, but I am the type of person to always be looking for confirmation and reassurance, so it helps.
And you know what? And that's okay for a while. And you'll get to a place where you just trust because you've had enough success over time that now you just trust. I have to tell, it still feels weird to be like, hey, universe, I need this. I feel like I don't have the authority to say that. But then again, I'm like, damn it, I am born with some gifts and I got to utilize them for the good of other people, not necessarily for myself, but to help other people. And so if I think about it, I'm helping other people on their path because I've already really done my own work, then now I'm giving it back. The universe wants to help you help other people. Like, we are souls having a human experience, and we came here to experience shitty stuff so that we could grow. If we can help each other through all that shitty stuff, that'd be perfect. That's how we get communities and raise children together and have families. That's what it was meant for, so that we're not alone, because loneliness is a human condition. You know we don't belong here. Ultimately, something in our soul goes, yeah, this is not our true
Well,
form.
and we all have lessons that we're here for too.
Different lessons, yeah.
And if we don't get them right in this life, we're going to have to repeat them in another life. So we got to, work on those karmic debts that we have. Do you do anything with numerology and your karmic debts or anything like that? Have you touched on that yet?
So like all of a sudden I've started seeing like meaning in everything. And that's kind of what has helped me, opposite of help me. That's what has made me overwhelmed recently. But yeah, all of a sudden numbers are becoming significant.
It's signs. There's signs for you. So this is where you feeling overwhelmed is either trying to keep everything inside and trying to keep track of it or up with it. So you might have some Virgo tendencies, but if you're needing to keep track of all your stuff, and that's the overwhelming part, is it's like, oh my gosh, here's numerology. Wait, and now I'm learning a little palmistry, and there's meditation, and there's manifestation, and the plethora of tools out there for us. That's why I say just write things down and then be okay to just, okay, today I just learned about this. It doesn't mean I need to practice it every day. Like, let yourself not be too bogged down by what you have to do. You don't have to do anything, but you can do what feels good to you that day. We were just talking that, we used to draw tarot cards every day for a while. And then one day we just stopped and we're like, guess we just didn't need to do that for a while.
Yeah.
We didn't need a message for a while, but
I was just looking at mine on a shelf saying like, oh, I haven't drawn tarot cards for probably 2 months now. And I was doing it every single day. And I guess I just, I didn't need it anymore. I'm like, oh, I kind of miss you guys. But, I'm not at the point where I need that message from the universe. So I'm okay with them. They'll just sit there and they'll be there as a tool when I need them or want them.
So the bogged down stuff, journaling can help with that, where you're just able to make live each day for the things that you learn or see. And you can have your journal keep track of the patterns that might come up or the experiences that you're having, especially if there's dreams and numbers and numerology, if there's things manifesting in a way that you didn't intend to. And Trent is, yes.
I was just going to say, I was like that in the beginning a lot with writing everything down. My hand would cramp,
Oh,
but really, a good rule is
like that. I know he is.
If you read it 10 times and it resonates with you, then, maybe then worry about getting all the info on that particular thing down. You know what I mean? Because it will come back to you. If it's meant for you, you'll read it again and again, and you'll see that thing pop up again and again. So it'll come back. Don't worry about missing anything.
Yeah, it's like tonight, Rachel, nobody knew that I was going to talk about Reiki, and yet a brand new person joined the call and she was a Reiki master. And we were like, what? All right, universe, I see you. I see what you're doing there. So it's, I love seeing things like that because I just know it's confirmation for me, like deja vu is that I'm on the right path, that I'm still doing everything the right way. Even though at this point, I don't need it. Now I just like it. It's like a little giggle to me. I'm like, oh, I love that. Look at how this works. It's just amazing. I still get amazed by it. And the gratitude thing, like what Sarah said, with just, being grateful and taking the time out to be grateful and think about that what the universe doesn't give you could be a protection for you,
Mm-hmm. And I just have to share one thing. This is just
one.
This is
but I'm going one thing.
Yeah, but I have to tell you something, you guys. For those of you who are like me, so there's Rachel and there's Sarah who are kind of either looking for love or in a recent breakup or whatever. So you're going through that thing, right? So I swear to God, I'm listening to this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it talks, I was telling you about how Joe Dispenza talks about we're either, as human beings, we're either focusing on something that happened in the past and always thinking about that, and reliving that experience, or we're worrying about the future. We're not in the present. And the thing that he said that just like, it was like this to me, he said, if you're always thinking about the past and things that have happened, what that's saying is you're not doing anything right now worth thinking about. So you're focused way too much. So that, today I'm looking up yoga and Buddhism and all these things. Like, I need to get my ass in gear and get out of this place where I've been, where I'm not doing anything. I think we get like that, especially after relationships or in between relationships where we want something and it's not quite there yet. And we're kind of feeling alone. We're like, well, what do I have to think about? Oh, let me go think about Joe or whoever, or let me imagine Jim. And, so we do that instead of saying present. So that thing was like, when he said that, I was like, oh, wow. That was like literally. Yeah, it really opened my eyes, because I was like, that's so true. And sad when you think about it. It's like, okay, let me get some stuff going on.
Not sad, but it's hard if you look at your yard or a yard and you see the yard, and it's like, oh man, that's a really nice yard. Why the hell is there a massive hole in the middle of it? That's weird. You can only focus on the hole. You're not looking at anything else around the yard and how, they have gardens and trees and like it's the Garden of Eden, but there's a damn hole in the middle of it. And so we tend to focus on the hole because that is a survival thing. How do we fix these things so that everything feels perfect and we're moving forward? It's a fear-based mentality. So we're only ever in two states. Fear, which is our survival base. Have I eaten? Have I slept? Have I washed the dishes? Are my kids in their dirty diapers? Like, I don't know. So there's all the fear things that we have. Or we're in the creative, intuitive state where we're going out and we're creating something for ourselves, that we're building things about ourselves. And it's the only two stages that we operate in. We're either surviving and getting through something, or we're creating and building.
Joe Dispenza talks about that exact same thing.
That's the way our brain operates. Like, that's just biology. And it plays into witchcraft so much, because if you're going to be building on yourself and other things, the moment you turn to that fear side, all your creativity is off the window. You can't create when you have a fear mindset. Like, when you're worried about all this other stuff, creativity doesn't come to you. So that's where the meditation starts to come in. And I know you're already doing manifestations with that, but being able to get back to the basics of like, no ego, I'm here for an existence, to, have gratitude and help other people. The more that you can repeat that to yourselves, create a mantra, put little cards up. Like, that's what I did, was trying to repeat it to myself all the time to get rid of my automatic thoughts of like, oh gosh, I have to clean the house and I need to do laundry and I don't make enough money and I can't, whatever the fears are. Because when we turn to that, it's what we focus on, that hole in the yard. So not having a relationship was the hole in the yard. That's what I was getting to. Coming all the way back around.
All right, 7:43.
Yeah. We're getting late now.
All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Yes. It was
I
wonderful
hope
to
you
meet
join
you.
us again.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Trent.
Yes.
for being
Thank you
here.
guys. Love hearing
Oh
your
my gosh.
thoughts.
Love you.
All right,
Good
you guys.
night.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
All right.
He's gone.